All right, so let's do something we like to call social media checking. What do we got?
All right, our first one, remember, our first 5 actually come from the Brad Show page, the VIS, the Very Important Squad members. So these are the first 5. Uncle Brad, my wife's hours at work were cut short, and she wants to apply for unemployment benefits. My question is, will this affect the public charge rule when she files for the I-130 petition for her?
Because collecting unemployment is not need-based government assistance.
Okay, the next one, same thing, coming from our Facebook group, Little Lengthy Brad. I am a Russian-born U.S. citizen, naturalized through marriage. I have my parents and 2 minor brothers, 14 and 16 years old, still living in Russia, and they would like to immigrate to the U.S. I have already filed an I-130 for my dad last April and still waiting for results. I am wondering what would be the best course of action to have my brothers and mom join my dad, and he is approved to minimize their separation time.
The best, if you want to minimize separation time and you can't leave the kids behind, it's good to file for one parent, let the parent come, and then let that parent, the day that parent comes with a green card, turn around and file for the spouse, include the children, and that the spouse and those children will come about 18 months later.
Okay, Nicholas Brown saying, I have an opt-out request. I was moved from the F2B category to F1 category. In the F2B, my priority date is current, and I filed all my civil documents. My lawyer said I should not move back to F2B category because it would take a year. Is this true?
If F2B is faster than F1, no. Then opt out and get back into F2B.
All right, next one comes from Mohammed Saeed. He asks, my asylum is pending, an interview is not yet done. My company went to sponsor me in EB3 visa, permanent position. Is there any way that my status can be adjusted in the U.S.? I don't have to leave the U.S. for status adjustment because my lawyer told me if I left America, then it will be hard to get a green card from your country U.S. consul.
Well, you have 2 problems. One, you filed for asylum. So if you go back to your country for your green card interview, what kind of asylum case did you have? Then there's maybe some misrepresentation there. You could not adjust your status here unless you've maintained status, which you haven't. Filing an asylum case and having a pending asylum claim is not maintaining status, even though you have a work permit. So it doesn't seem probable to get sponsored in a job.
Okay, Dana Love saying, question, I went to my citizenship interview yesterday. I passed the civics test, but the decision cannot be made yet on my application. The officer said I have to wait for the letter in the mail next week. Does this mean that I got denied? And he went to my folder and asked about my previous ex-husband, and he made a statement, and I signed it. Please give me hope.
What was the statement that you signed?
He made a statement, and I signed it. It just asked about the previous.
I don't know what the statement was, so we would need to know more about what you signed.
Okay.
All right, the next one comes from Francis Tobias. They say, I am a green card holder. I want to file for my son, and he lives in Trinidad. He is 29 and not married, 29 years old and not married. How long?
6 to 7 years.
There it is.
Okay, I have one from Ezekiel saying, is it too late to file? Now, I have 2 kids that I adopted in Nigeria. I'm a U.S. citizen, and one is 14, one is 15. So they already adopted last year, and they want to file for them to come here. And they're in Nigeria now.
File. It's too late because they're not going to get they're not going to get their visa appointments because of the Nigerian ban. Nevertheless, file the orphan petition if it's an orphan, or file the I-130 if you can get that approved. But to get the I-130 approved, you got to show you lived with the children for 2 years, that you had legal custody of them for 2 years, and this all happened before 16. So filing an I-130 is different than an orphan petition. Either way, if they qualify one way or the other, file it, get it approved, even though you may not complete the case, because then they would still be considered either under 21 immediate relatives on the I-130 or proof of the orphan petitions up until 21. Hopefully that ban is lifted.
And this is if the kids are in Nigeria right now.
Correct.
All
That's
right.
sad. You can't bring an adopted child.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
All right, next one comes from Mohammed Akram, and he says, I have a question on VAWA RFE. What is the time from Vermont Center takes on a decision of pending VAWA?
forever. It's supposed to be 120 days, but it could be forever.
Okay, I have one from Isaac saying, I'm 20 years old in Nigeria, so I'll be done with my undergraduate degree this year. My plan is to come to the United States for my master's degree. What are my chances to coming to the United States with the current immigration ban on Nigeria?
The ban only applies to green cards and not student visas.
So he can get a student visa?
If he qualifies, yes.
Oh,
wow.
Well, that's
There's
good.
hope.
Yes.
There's
That's
hope.
hope.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Next one comes from Daphne Philippe. She says, hello, Brad. I am waiting to get my green card interview schedule, EB3 visa. They had a huge retrogress on the process. If my process is fine, do you think I should fear anything?
Where's he from? India?
Nope, she didn't mention. Mentioned that she's waiting for a green card
I think there's a lot in life to fear. We have diseases, terrorism, global warming. There's lots of things to fear. I don't know enough about your immigration case, whether you should be concerned about it or not. But I hate to use the word, should I fear something? Mm-hmm. Okay, immigration is nothing you should fear. You should go into it, be concerned about it, but don't fear it. Yep. But I don't have enough to tell you whether you should be concerned.
All right, and we have one from Prince saying, I'm a Nigerian-born U.S. citizen and my parents are visiting the States on vacation. I plan to file for a change of status, I-130, for them before they return to Nigeria. I'd like to know if the new immigration ban on Nigerians would allow me to file successfully, or would my parents be affected by the ban even though they are currently in the United States on a valid visa?
They would be able to adjust their status here. The ban only applies to immigrant visas back in Nigeria. Now be careful, you got to file the adjustment more than 90 days after they got here. Otherwise, there could be a misrepresentation issue.
Awesome.
Alrighty, last one comes from Stacy Dahl. Can you briefly explain the public charge process for those outside the country? I noticed there is a lot of discussion around those inside the U.S. trying to adjust status.
Well, it's the same whether you're in the country or out of the country. It's a whole new process. It's a two-step process now. I don't know if I could do it briefly, but I'll try to do it as briefly as I can. First step is the old way, which is you got to file an I-864 and show that, 3 years tax returns, and your petitioner or a second person with an affidavit of support can support you 125% above the poverty level. Once you get past that point, you got to go to the new form, I'm terrible with form names, 914, I believe it is, but it's the I-9 something or other. That is a 20-plus page form that they estimate will take 5.5 hours to complete. I looked at it. It is very complicated. It is more complicated than even applying for a mortgage. And what that is a balancing act. All of your positive equities on one hand, all of the negative equities on the other hand, do your positive outweigh the negative? And they want to show that you can be self-sustaining here without taking any government benefits. So positive things would be that your sponsor, for a family of 4, makes over $64,000 a year. Another positive thing would be that you have a job lined up. Another positive thing is that you're healthy. Another positive thing is that you have an education or a skill that would be easily allow you to get a job. Another positive thing would be that you have health insurance or offer of health insurance. Some negative things would be your petitioner's in Section 8 housing, collects Medicaid for himself or herself, gets food stamps. Those are some negative things. Another negative thing is that you're under 18 years old. You can't work. You're over 65 or retired. You can't work. It's a negative. So we've got to balance the positive and negative. It's a very complicated process now. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.